The Lausanne Underground was inaugurated in 2008. The system is an amazing technological achievement, built on a hill and passing through a complex landscape. The automatic underground system was an instant hit with the general public, transporting almost 25 million people during its first year. The 6-kilometer line connects Lake Geneva with the top of the city in just a few minutes. Switzerland's first automatic underground is the Lausanne City Authority's answer to the huge challenges posed by the fast-changing city. The population is growing, urban areas need to be reorganized, urban mobility needs to be properly managed, and Lausanne wants to be known as a modern, forward-looking city. To look at the impact the underground has had on people's lives, we spoke to Daniel Brella, one of the main figures behind the M2, and Vincent Kaufmann, an urban development specialist.
What I find incredible is that an underground bridge was built which is actually underneath the Bessières Bridge itself, and it was done at a highly symbolic local heritage site. It's a real technical achievement. Building a bridge within another bridge is not that easy. But what strikes me is that the people of Lausanne actually agreed to the idea.
Well, people did complain a bit, but anyone who studied the problems of this line would have seen that there wasn't really any other solution. And people were really won over by the advantages of the project, so we were able to cut through all the controversy.
Lausanne is built on a slope, and its center is spread over several small hills. Crossing from one hill to another has always been a challenge for public transport. Thanks to this bridge and the M2, we can hop from one hill to the next. This is much more efficient from a public transport point of view. We built the M2 to try to limit road traffic in town. This was a key factor. In technical terms, the aim is to shift to alternative modes of transport. In other words, to encourage car drivers to use public transport.
Over the next 15 years, we may have 15 to 20,000 additional residents in Lausanne. We're hoping for the best, but in the worst-case scenario, there should be no more traffic than there is now. This means that any population increase resulting in a change in transport needs must be addressed by changes in the types of transport provided.
This is Flon Station, which is the focal point of the Lausanne public transport system, and also perhaps its Achilles heel. It's a very complicated place to manage. It's bursting at the seams almost. Loads of people leave Lausanne main station at rush hour, and waves of travelers end up at the M2 station, before heading on to the stop at Flon. So we have a problem with the size of the network.
Lausanne-Flon.
This is the third busiest station in French-speaking Switzerland in terms of the number of travellers. The M2 is a floor below, as is the Lausanne et Chalon-Péchet regional train, and 3 bus lines run nearby. This is one of the biggest stations on the M2 line. These travelers come in and out at the same time. We had to increase the size we'd planned in the original project. The escalators, lifts and exit passage were totally inadequate for pedestrians.
When you talk to people in Lausanne about the M2, they speak very highly of it and say how great they think it is. But when you talk to long-distance commuters, people from Aigle, Vevey or Geneva, they have quite different impressions about the system. They say things like, "The station is really difficult sometimes. I sometimes have to let 1 or 2 trains go before I can actually get on board one. And the infrastructure already seems overloaded."
At the end of the 19th century, Lausanne had an underground line known as the Ficelle, or String, a funicular railway that linked Ouchy with the centre of town via the station. The line was modernised in 1958 into a cog railway, a mini-metro ahead of its time.
We have to look to the future, the modern side of things.
The lower section of the line, the historic Ficelle, was turned into an operational part of the M2. Above ground, it's been transformed into a pedestrian area. A new urban space has been created in the city centre, focusing on greenery and relaxation.
Here we are on the green stretch of the underground leading from Ouchy almost up to the main station. The last part of the M2 is not covered. The old underground used to make lots of noise and cause lots of problems for local residents. After deciding to enclose the new underground, we now have a garden which has restored the quality of life to the surrounding neighborhood. Noise problems have been reduced quite dramatically. People who want to live in the city without a car are attracted to these kinds of locations. It's obvious that an underground like the M2 and the nearby mainline station in Lausanne appeal to people who want to move to this neighborhood. Some 10 years ago, most Swiss people wanted to own their own detached house. Things are changing slightly. It's a small change. We shouldn't exaggerate things. 80% of the population has no desire to live in towns. But others definitely prefer to live in central urban areas because they feel their quality of life is improved by not having to rely on cars.
Everyone knows that such an efficient means of transport tends to change the kinds of residents who live nearby, at least along the line and 100 to 200 meters on either side. It attracts slightly wealthier people, as rents in the areas along the line generally increase. In the long run, these things help balance out tax revenues and influence the makeup of the city. Lausanne is well known for the housing policy that has applied for the past 10 years. 1/3 of all housing is subsidized, and the rest is not. Lausanne has more than 60% of the canton's subsidized housing, occupied by 18% of its population. If you want to balance the finances, you need to pay for the social benefits of those in need of them. And if you only have people who live on social benefits and no big taxpayers, this spells trouble.
Attracting people who earn higher wages is one of Lausanne's aims. But on the other hand, if we look at this closely, it could also force certain groups of people to leave the city centre. Behind all these issues is perhaps the long-term risk of creating a city of haves and have-nots. This means a highly attractive, trendy city organized around a central underground system with extremely well-designed infrastructure, all kinds of outdoor terraces, cafes and leisure businesses, with young, well-heeled residents or wealthy social classes. Then all around a kind of car city for those who have no access to this high-quality city center.
The authorities are well aware of the issues created by this urban mix and have launched new studies into developing public transport infrastructure with the possible addition of a new M3 underground and tram system.